Story 1. I had a coworker who was quitting send me a message after she left saying she really wished she had been able to get to know me better. I thought she meant romantically, but I was not totally sure. So we met up, hung out, and went back to my place. I tried to kiss her, but she ducked and explained that she had a boyfriend. Okay, whatever. No big deal. We were cool after that and hung out a few times. About a year later, she needed a place to stay for the night. I could not remember why. I said, sure, you can stay at my place, but I was not going to be there. I was staying that night with a girl I was seeing. I left my keys in the mailbox for her. She stayed over at my place and left in the morning, putting my keys back in the mailbox. When I came home, there was a note on my bed. She was upset that I had gone to stay with another girl after she had expressed no romantic interest in me. Whatever. I did not reach out after that, and we never spoke again. Story 2. Oh boy, here we go. I have too many of these moments to the point that it makes me question my own reality. I've had a girl come over after we had been hanging out all evening. Literally dinner, drinks, and a show, during which we talked a lot about sex and relationships throughout the night. She got into her underwear, then crawled into my bed and invited me to join her. When I asked if she wanted me to come closer and reached over to touch her, she got upset and said if she wanted sex, she would have told me so, then rolled over. She left in the morning and said we weren't friends anymore. That wasn't even the worst one. I have at least 5 of these ridiculous moments that make me question whether this is a simulation or not. Edit. Adding the worst one, I was at a bar with a friend who I thought was into me. After a few drinks, we were talking about this exact subject, how direct someone needs to be for me to understand. She slammed her hand on the table and yelled, "Fag. I think you are very attractive. I am very horny right now. Do you understand me?" I do mean yelled. Loudly, as in it interrupted everyone around us and they were staring. We lived in the same building, so I told her I got it and that I would be leaving my door unlocked. Then nothing. All night. The next day she said, "Yeah, I do think you're hot, but that doesn't mean I was going to have sex with you." Yeah. Apparently yelling that you are very horny and attracted to me means no. I do not understand women at all. Story 3. Hints? We worked in the same industry and had a few fun, flirty conversations. I straightforwardly asked her out on a date, which she accepted. Cue the romantic comedy-inspired ice skating date, complete with holding hands, her hugging me while losing her balance, laughing, and so on. She picked a cute little cafe for tea afterwards. We were sitting close together in an intimate booth when she looked around and said, "I always wanted to come here, but my boyfriend won't take me." She had never mentioned having a boyfriend before then. I finished my drink and told her I had to go. We never really spoke again. Story 4. There was a woman who worked at the gym I go to. I'm friendly with the staff because they take baked goods from me. She would go out of her way to talk to me, join conversations I was having with other people, stand close to me, touch my arms, and stare deeply into my eyes. The thing is, I refused to ask someone out at their job. After talking to several women in my life who all assured me she was very interested in me, I saw her post about getting a girlfriend on Instagram. The next day, she did her usual routine of getting close and flirty, so I congratulated her on her relationship. It was like an ice bucket was dumped on her. She became cold and distant for about a month until she started treating me like a normal person again. I think she was just using me for male attention, and when I didn't take the bait or reminded her of her girlfriend, she realized it was over. Story 5. She used to call me to her house for drinks. She would get drunk and ask me why I never asked her out. One day during one of those drinking sessions, when she was rubbing her foot on my leg, I took her hand and pulled her close to go in for a kiss. She shouted, "What are you doing, Bob? We are friends. I should be in the Hall of Fame." Story 6. My intoxicated self tried to climb into the shower with her. She had literally asked me if I would sleep with her. Apparently, she just wanted reassurance because the boy she wanted was not interested in her. Story 7. The worst time was in my 20s. She sent me a picture of herself topless on Snapchat. We went skinny dipping together on her birthday, just the two of us the whole night. I told her I was interested in her, and she said, "Sorry, I don't see you that way. She also told me she used to webcam and even gave me her old username. Story 8. This one I have known for about a decade. We had crushes on each other before, but never when the other was available. About 2 years ago, I thought she was giving me hints, so I took my chance. She said she was not ready right now, but would make sure I was the first to know when she was. Fast forward to a couple of months ago, she treated me to a very nice dinner. The goodbye hugs were extra long. She was not letting go. She looked at me and said, "I am going to give you a kiss," and kissed me on the lips. The next day, I told her I enjoyed the kiss and proposed a picnic in a local botanical garden. She said the kiss did not mean anything and it just felt right. Epilogue. I learned my lesson regarding her, and this absolute lack of awareness ended my crush on her. Story 9. I thought when she sent me nude photos that she was interested, but she was not. There were no consequences other than an awkward situation. Story 10. A female coworker spoke to me in a somewhat flirty manner. Her tone was different from how I would talk to a woman I was not interested in. She also laughed at all my jokes, even if they were not very funny, and would occasionally text me in a flirty way. Since she was a coworker, I did not want to rush things. After a few months of this behavior and a particularly flirtatious after-work happy hour when we were the last two people there, I asked her on a date. She told me she had a boyfriend, although we spoke every day and she never mentioned him. As a result, I essentially stopped talking to her unless it was necessary for work. In hindsight, I believe she might have been using me as a backup plan or for validation or ego, especially since she never mentioned having a boyfriend despite how often we communicated. Story 11. I had a friend who would always call me late at night. We would watch movies, and she always cuddled and lay against me on the couch. One night, she was lying on me, and she grabbed my arm and put it around her chest, holding onto my arm. Soon after, she adjusted, and my hand naturally landed on her breast. I thought it was intentional, so I didn't move it, but I didn't do anything else. Apparently, she was asleep. You do the math. Story 12. A woman once asked me, "Do you like my breasts?" Yes, they were very nice, J-cups at the very least, larger than her head, very eye-catching. I told her yes. She replied, "Good. They are only for my boyfriend." I must have been staring. Story 13. We met at a gaming convention. She was there taking pictures for the convention, and I was walking around with a horse head mask. We started talking, knew some of the same people, and exchanged numbers. She was texting me a lot the following week, and I was texting back. A couple of weeks later, she invited me to a weekend of parties. First, a party at her place, then a gathering on an island, and another party there the day after. I lived 5 hours away by train at the time, but I knew people where she lived, so I took the train, showed up, and met up with some mutual friends to buy drinks. Then we had the party. Nothing happened then, but she asked me to come over before the event the next day to help her with an essay she was writing. We were both at university at the time, so I showed up the next day, and she literally just wanted help with her essay. I tried initiating something more, but she was completely not interested. I just went home, feeling humiliated and depressed. There were no other consequences. Story 14. In school, I heard through rumors that one of my classmates might have been interested in me. This came up several times over the couple of years I was there. I was awkward and never really talked with this classmate. Eventually, the ice was broken, and she started talking to me more, which led to us chatting more over text or at parties. She found out I was a gamer and wanted to get into gaming and play with me late at night. The first night we played, about halfway through, she started talking about her boyfriend, and I felt very foolish. It's not the first time these rumors have misled me. I need to find a better source of information. Story 15. There was a girl at work who would ask me to after-work events and constantly request that I carry her on my shoulder. I thought she might be making a move on me, so I asked her. Turns out she wasn't. She just liked being thrown over the shoulder and carried around. Story 16. I was working as a plumber, and she kept making references like, "My pipes need to be cleaned," and "It is so wet in here." So I asked for her number. After I repaired the leak in her bathroom, she called my company and claimed sexual harassment, and I was fired from my union job. Story 17. The most significant rejection of this type was 9 years ago, involving someone from our friend group. Everything was always different with her. It was easier to have a chat with her, and she was the one who would text me regularly. 2 other girls had already shown interest in me, asking why we did not hang out alone. I thought it would be an easy yes, but it turned into one of the few notable rejections for me in the past 2 decades, and I did not consider the consequences. The first issue was the initial awkwardness between us, but then it got strange. I tried to fade out of the romantic interest immediately and gave her space. She reacted almost the opposite way. She became closer to me and got noticeably annoyed if I chose to sit next to someone else. She texted me more. We went from a group dynamic to more direct communication and alone time. I remember purposely sitting on my own at dinner, and she came to join me. I made the mistake of trying to ask her out a second time, and she rejected me again. We worked for the city in different parts of the city. Occasionally, we would contact each other, and she even invited me out to lunch, asking about my plans, but I was determined never to try anything with her again. We have not talked since just before the pandemic. The friend group was mostly girls, so they all knew what was going on. Some were annoyed that I did not ask them out, but others were encouraging. I went on to have 2 casual relationships with women from the same group. Story 18. I have walked up to women several times and have been rejected or mistaken on several occasions. The response is always no from them. It is no big deal at all. Story 19. One time I got engaged and had kids. Then she started being involved with my neighbor and her boss, and eventually took the kids and left with her boss. Story 20. This happens a lot. It is safer to just mind your own business past a certain point. For some people, it is just the chase, but when they feel they have won you over, sometimes people really do make you look stupid. Emotions do not make a lot of sense, and there is just no logic to them. It seems they are just on and off. Story 21. Honestly, I am far more likely to miss when a woman is giving hints versus when she is not. I do not think it has ever happened the other way. Story 22. When I was at my latest job, she teased me about my hair during my first days. After discovering she has a boyfriend, I stopped thinking about it. Fortunately, she never realized that, and in fact, I was able to communicate more fluently with her to get things done. I guess she was just being friendly. Story 23. I normally dismiss all hints as wishful thinking and have missed countless dates, relationships, and hookups by doing this. Afterward, these women told me months or sometimes years later that they were very interested. However, one time I was feeling particularly confident and lucky and asked a girl out, assuming she was sending me signals, only to realize she was naturally flirty and actually engaged. About 5 months later, she was no longer engaged, and we ended up hooking up a few times. I would say always take the chance, even if you are not sure the opportunity is there. Not only will you have more success, but you might also get an unexpectedly great outcome. Story 24. I used to go to school with this pretty attractive female. She would always get me a free soda no matter what when I ordered. I assumed it was a hint, so I texted her the casual, "Thanks for the free drink. I appreciate it," hoping it would start a conversation. Well, it indeed just came with the meal I would always get, and she responded, "Thanks, but it comes with your meal." Story 25. I only had this happen one time, and it was with an ex. I thought she wanted something more, but she kindly let me know she wasn't interested. We immediately moved on and never brought it up again. There were no awkward vibes or tension. It hurt for a few days, but now I feel relieved because I don't feel awkward talking to her anymore. That being said, I'm not typically a guy who can pick up on hints or play the hint game since I prefer women to be direct about what they want. Story 26. Nothing serious. I just learned once and for all that I will win the lottery 5 times, get hit by lightning 3 times, and be elected president before any woman will be interested. As it should be. Story 27. Similar situation, but mine was a man and I am a woman. It turns out he was a sociopath. Diagnosed. Story 28. Well, she is still in the basement. I am not really sure what to do now, to be honest. I really thought we had a thing going. Story 29. I started messaging a woman at work after we were getting along well. I didn't expect it to go anywhere. You can't put expectations on things, especially involving colleagues. After a month of chatting every day, we talked about many things in our lives. She had just gotten out of a relationship and didn't want anything serious. She already had a friends with benefits arrangement, which she said involved no feelings. She said she wasn't closing the door to things between us but wasn't ready for a relationship. I suggested we should go out, to which she said it would be as friends, and I understood why. I said yes anyway. While I had caught feelings, why not? We could be cool friends, and if it went somewhere, that would be great. I really liked her, but I couldn't force her to like me. In the days leading up to going out, she mentioned a few times over voice notes that she was just looking to have casual fun for the time being. We went out, had a fun night with a few drinks, and she reiterated that. A few days later, I suggested that since she was looking to have casual fun, we should do that together, thinking there were hints. There were no hints. She apologized if I took the night to be more than friends, but it was nothing more than that. I apologized for suggesting it and we moved on, but I could tell it had tainted things. Thinking I had completely messed up, I was very careful and tried to fix things, including bringing her favorite dish to work. It wasn't as creepy as it sounds. A month or so later, she steered me into finding out who her friends with benefits partner was. It was a guy at work. They are now in a relationship, so it was purely a friends with benefits arrangement. We had a small disagreement over text where we were both rude to each other. I tried to apologize, but I received no response from her. She then reported me to management for harassing her and following her around at work, which I did not do. Story 30. I mostly ignore women's hints or nonchalantly dismiss them. This forces them to make drastic gestures to gain my attention if they are interested. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.